Here come the lights. Round 2 of Formula E Accelerate is underway. And immediately Jovski chops over to the inside, gets a decent getaway. Siggy's almost put in the wall by Golombek behind, but Jovski holds the lead into turn 1. Golombek in the Porsche might get up into second place. Mark Gassner's further back down the field, and Freddie Rasmussen holds second position. Golombek third, Siggy fourth. Martin Stefanko in the Jaguar looks to the outside, coming into the right-hander of Hong Kong Station at turn 2. Graham Carroll is putting his nose up the inside to try and get past Stefanko. This is where we can see a bit of trouble coming into the chicane, but all neat and tidy for the first few. Jovski got the lead, held the lead, Oliver Rowland, and now he's got to manage his race.
Yep, very well behaved at turn 1 by everybody. So yeah, did a great start, got across quickly, because it's a bit of a strange one here in Hong Kong. You know, second place is on the inside, which is predominantly the other way around. I actually took the lead here in the real Formula E race from second on a drier part of the track on the inside. But yeah, great start, and it'll be interesting to see now how they settle down into a rhythm in terms of the energy management, and who saves what at which part of the race. I suspect we're going to get an ebbing and flowing of the race in terms of who's going to push at which points. And obviously we've got attack mode that will play its part as well.
Indeed, on board with Anja Jovski, the North Macedonian, looking back as he comes down already on the second lap. It'll be fairly calm, you'd have thought, in the opening stages. That's certainly what we saw last time in New York. And every race these drivers do, they're going to be learning a little bit more about how this car and mod works in rFactor 2, because that was the first ever race for it last weekend. The rFactor, the Formula E car, has been in the game for a few years, but it's the first time that energy saving and attack mode have been a part of it. So no one using attack mode this time around. You'll see them keep nice and tight coming out of the hairpin up there at turn 6, and that is where the attack mode is going to be. Graham Carroll running in 5th place at the moment. Here's a replay of the start, and well, it was everybody wanted that inside line.
Yeah, the Porsche from third was quite rude on Siggy there, where he kind of had him a little bit into the inside wall, but as you said, everybody pretty well behaved in the middle of turn 1.
Then there was the race up towards the top end of the order, on board with Kevin Siggy, lying in 4th position at the moment, the Slovenian who is racing in the Netherlands. He's now in Tilburg. He was in Groningen for the Race at Home Challenge Series. Now he's in an office space used by Team Redline in Tilburg in the Netherlands, one of the top esports teams out there. Team Redline have a huge number of the top drivers. Now, no attack mode this time for Anja Jovski, none for any of the front runners really. Big slide from Nikodem Wisniewski in the DS Tachita as he comes through the hairpin. Oh, there we go. One of the Dragon cars taking it towards the back of the field. So that is going to be Pave, the Bulgarian, who takes attack mode for the first time. Jovski sets the fastest lap of the race, nearly a second up the road from Freddie Rasmussen, but before too long we'll see the usable energy, and that's really where the race kind of comes from, rather than the actual gaps between the cars.
Yeah, I think once the race settles down, you know, lap 2 to 6 is very difficult to make progress, because if you're trying to overtake, the person defending still has energy. So this part of the race we'll see people saving as much as possible to use it to attack later. We see here Pev with the attack mode, but wasn't able to make the use of it down that back straight. So yeah, it's going to be very important as soon as you get the attack mode and the 235 that you've just got to get on with it and get past the guys to utilise it.
There is Pev down in the bottom left with his gloves on. Did you race with gloves on when you were doing all of your sim racing exploits?
No, I didn't. No. I didn't have any in my apartment.
Really? 21 minutes left on the clock. Here is Pev, right up behind Bono Huis. As ever, in the YouTube chat, getting a lot of stick for not saying Bono Huis.
I did, interestingly, I had a bit of a dilemma before one of the qualifying sessions, because I took my socks off about 15 minutes before and did a fast lap time, and then I couldn't decide, should I keep them or should I not?
Really?
Yeah, then I ended up getting myself all wound up and did a bad quali.
Once you took the socks off, you're in a house of cheese as well, probably.
Yeah.
20 minutes left on the clock, and
it's difficult to pass even with the attack mode on the straight, because you see there the Mercedes car defending towards the inside, and there's not much you can do to get around him, to be honest.
No, looking back from Bono, who was named after the U2 lead singer, if any of you were wondering. And we've got 20 minutes left on the clock. None of the leaders have taken attack mode yet. Ollie Pakala does in 10th position. There is Bono down in the bottom left, winner of the Visa Vegas E-race that Formula E held in 2017.
He looks a bit like Bono, Lewis's engineer, doesn't he?
He's got similar glasses, actually, isn't he? I think it's the glasses.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if Bono, my tyres are gone, is something we hear during the course of this race. There is Ollie Pakala in attack mode, another racer in the Visa Vegas E-race, finished third in that one, has a little bit of a nudge of the wall on the inside. He is trying to pass Jan van der Heijden as they go nose to tail up the back straight, and van der Heijden keeps the door open and Pakala goes through.
Yeah, could have probably been a little bit more aggressive, but maybe thinking a little bit more long-term, and hopefully, you know, in Jan's position, the Mahindra can crack on and attack the next one to give him an opportunity as well.
19 minutes left on the clock, and Yuyovski, the leader, takes attack mode then. So Erhan Yuyovski and Kevin Siggy both use attack mode for the first time. So that's one for Yuyovski and one for Kevin Siggy. We'll see whether Siggy can get involved with Golombek and Rasmussen up at the front of the order. There's a yellow flag out there in sector 2. I think Pave has run into trouble. He's dropped down to last position. So Pave maybe, while he was trying to pass Bono Huis, has ended up in a bit of trouble. This is the view back from Jan van der Heijden. 18.5 minutes to go.
Purple last sector from Siggy on that last lap.
And here he is, Kevin Siggy on the attack up the inside of Marius Golombek, almost feeds him into the wall. The two stay side by side, but Siggy's through then.
Good move.
Up into third place. He's a couple of seconds really behind Freddie Rasmussen in second spot, but Golombek, when will he decide to use attack mode, and Carroll behind as well?
Yeah, like I said, it's very important. As soon as you get in the attack mode, you have to make the most of it. You know, if you wait a whole lap to get the chance to pass again, it's too long, so it's good to see.
This was Peo Pev. Oh, he got spun around. Tough. Not really anything he could do about that one. Manages to rejoin just in front of Tameja Benchik. Siggy across the line then in third place, still on attack mode. 1.9 seconds between Yuyovski and Rasmussen up at the front. Yuyovski, though, has used the first of his attack modes. One thing, I guess, that gets taken out in this situation is there's no safety car or full course yellow to kind of scupper your attack mode usage.
No, exactly, and interestingly, you've got points for fastest lap in the top 10 as well, so interesting to see Yuyovski's obviously gone for that with a 60.1 on the last lap. It's same element as what we have when we're racing as well, that you have to, you know, push for the fastest lap whilst you're in attack mode, and then that can bring you points at the end of the race as well.
Ibrahim in the chat says, Bono, my battery is gone. Maybe that's going to be the chat. Golombek activates his attack mode. There's going to be two attack modes, same as New York City in this race. Ollie Pakala side by side with van der Heijden, and he gets squeezed into the wall on the exit, doesn't he?
I wonder if Dilbag's been on the phone.
Probably, I wouldn't put it past him. Here's Yuyovski. Once again, it's amazing how he gets pole by the smallest of margins, but in the race he's able to control it so well.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you can see that he's got a pace advantage, which probably relieves a bit of pressure in qualifying as well. You know, you can go out and not have to push 100% to do the lap, and then it's more consistency as well. So, yeah, doing a great job out front, not making it that interesting for us, but I'm sure he's happy out there.
New York certainly came towards the end of the race. There's Risto Kapit down in the bottom left, the previously mentioned Estonian who races for Roman Grosjean's team. Grosjean's been a big part of this, and he's just been announced as racing in IndyCar in the upcoming season, so best of luck there, Roman. 16 minutes left on the clock. But Kapit is right up behind Stefanko.
Rasmussen in attack mode now. It'd be interesting to see what pace he has. Of course, we're seeing Yuyovski pull away, but could also be an element of the guys behind trying to save towards the end of the laps, end of the race, so that they can push on. So let's see now what he can do under attack mode.
10-second penalty for Kelvin van der Linde and a 5-second penalty for Lucas Muller, I think, for incidents on the opening lap. So that's going to affect their time, although I don't think they know that until after the race. Here's Marius Golombek. So he got overtaken earlier on by Kevin Siggy. Now Golombek is in attack mode, trying to get back past him. Rasmussen's in attack mode too, but Golombek's about to run out actually and hasn't been able to make that place back.
Interestingly, Rasmussen 1.5 seconds faster than Jojovski in sector 1 on this lap. So it could be an element of him saving his energy towards the end. Another 0.3 in sector 2, so the gap's down to 1.6 from 3.6. So we could still have a race on our hands here for the lead.
15 minutes left on the clock. We'll keep an eye on Rasmussen's time. He comes across the line and it's down to 1.5 seconds, the gap to Jojovski in front. This is Marius Golombek in the Porsche. We're watching in 4th position, and also keep an eye on Graham Carroll in the Envision Virgin Racing car, the purple machine behind the Porsche, because he's activated his attack mode and is still got a couple of minutes left on that, so might be close enough to make a move on Golombek. Here is Freddie Rasmussen in 2nd place, 15 seconds left on Jojovski, racing in a very dark room. Rasmussen, that's always something I find interesting. Some drivers, look, I don't find much interesting, admittedly, because some drivers like to race in a really dark room and some like to race in a really bright room. Did you have any preference?
I think.
Well, let me guess, you had no blinds or curtains.
No, I had blinds, and they were always closed because I didn't want a reflection. But yeah, I can't remember. They weren't that great, so I think I always had a bit of light in the room. And you had to stream as well, so you couldn't switch your lights off.
Exactly. Your adoring fans aren't like that if it's just in the dark. Rasmussen across the line, 1.5 seconds the gap. Here comes Carroll then, he's still in attack mode, coming down to turn 1, and he looks to the inside of Golombek, and Carroll is going to get 4th position here. Golombek swings it wide, but the Scot is through. Golombek down to 5th. Stefanko now in the Jaguar is going to be coming up behind him before too long, although he's not in attack mode at the moment, so I don't think Carroll's going to have enough to catch Siggy. But 13 minutes left on the clock. Jojovski doing well. Carroll is climbing up the order, to be perfectly honest, because he's going to run out of attack mode in a minute, but then the top 7 or so will have used their first attack mode, all of them.
Yeah, interestingly chipping away. I think, you know, Golombek will be slightly disappointed that he's not given away 2 positions, but could have probably been a little bit more robust with his defence, especially with Siggy in the first one and then again with Carroll. It's important to obviously not lose too much when you've got guys around coming with attack mode. But I'm really interested for the battle at the front. It seems like Rasmussen's calmed down again and maybe saving a bit of energy up to hopefully ever go Jojovski. I think in my situation I'd be hoping to try and use an alternative strategy with the attack mode to try and attack it.
12.5 minutes left on the clock. This is Nikodem Wisniewski, who's in attack mode at the moment in the DS Techeetah. Wisniewski, who along with Brzezinski won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And Mark Gassner has been given a drive-through penalty. Not 100% sure why, but Gassner has been given a drive-through penalty down in 16th position.
Maybe the incident with Pev.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, that'll be it. So it's all going to be up to Jan van der Heide to seek out the points for Nissan. He's down in 12th place though at the moment. Wisniewski still in attack mode. Golombek getting reeled in a little bit by Stefanko, just fractionally, but I think Stefanko in the Jaguar behind Golombek is a little bit quicker, and it was the collision with Pev that is the reason that Gassner has that drive-through penalty. 11.5 minutes to go. Down towards the hairpin at turn 1. Honzik activates his first attack mode, so the drivers further back in the order, leaving it a little later to activate their first attack modes. Arteleuks got up into 17th place. He was hoping for a top 10 this evening after difficulties last week with his throttle pedal, but he's in 17th spot at the moment. 11 minutes to go. And here comes Honzik down into the hairpin again at Tamar Park at turn 1, and then back up towards turn 2. He is in attack mode at the moment, a few seconds though behind Lucas Müller. There's the 2 leaders going through, first and second through the left-hander. Siggy in 3rd, Carroll in 4th, and then it's that very close battle between Golombek and Stefanko for 5th and 6th positions. Golombek, the 28-year-old who's done some karting in real life and a couple of races on the Nordschleife. He's actually a working student for Porsche. Now there's our usable energy remaining. Jojovski is fractionally less than Freddie Rasmussen, but only fractionally. If anyone you had to pick out of the top 5, it's Graham Carroll, who appears to have the least at the moment, with 10.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, interesting. I don't see a big enough difference really between any of them there to make a big difference, and certainly a chance to pass even on this track. So Let's see. You know, we've got a couple of places where, you know, can cause tricky things in this race. You know, crashes or in the chicane. So let's see how the rest of the race unfolds.
It must be a lot of these drivers saying it's really tough to do this energy management. Jan van der Heijden actually said this is the toughest challenge he's ever had in sim racing because of the energy management and trying to do that while you're also trying to race.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know. I think you can practice as much as you want, but when you throw someone into a race situation and you have to manage all these different things at once, I invite him to come and try and do the modern day Formula E because it's very difficult. You know, to understand all the systems on the car. There's so many buttons on the steering wheel, and then have the energy management now is second nature. You know, you do that without even thinking, and it's all the other technical bits that you kind of have to get your head on top of.
How difficult was it to learn the energy management? Was it like a couple of races, or are you still getting better at it? Or
I think you always get better at it. I think the ultimate lap, in terms of how you optimize it, comes quite quickly. But then to deal with the pressure at the same time, you know, whilst you've got someone trying to pass you, and then, you know, you've got to be quite strict with yourself and not allow yourself to use more, because it's easy to try and defend and waste a lot of energy. So you have to be quite disciplined in how much you allow yourself to use in some respects.
Less than 9 minutes to go. Erhan Yuyovski looking to take his second win of the season. The driver for Venturi Racing out in front, and as we heard earlier on, Lawrence Herzing lost his internet connection. He's absolutely gutted that he wasn't able to take the start of the race. There's Olli Pakala from somewhere up near Lapland. You might remember him in the previous series he's raced, and he's had a very interesting moustache. But for some reason, the moustache appears to have gone. I haven't actually asked him why. It felt a bit rude to ask why, but he was always famous for his moustache, Olli Pakala. Now he's just driving around in 9th place. He's got a lot less usable energy than Petter Berliak. He's the one that stands out in that top 10. 38% remaining for Petter Berliak. We'll see whether he can do anything about the drivers in front. We're on board with the BMW I Andretti driver. The 2015 Formula Sim Racing champion was runner-up in FSR last year. He's been racing since 2010. Says his best moment of esports racing is yet to come. Ooh. He finished third in the Race at Home Challenge. There, going through, was that Olli Pakala going into attack mode? It was. Stefanko and Kapid have gone into it as well.
Yeah, so key for him now will be to try and catch up with his Nevsky, if I said it right.
No, very good.
And try and quickly get past him, and then when he returns the favour with the attack mode, to try and hang on to the place. So we'll see how he gets on with that.
I was properly impressed with how into the whole sim racing thing you got. Like, because some drivers did it and it was a bit of a fun, and you were kind of the same, but really kind of, as Stefanko here is just looking to the outside of Golombek, but you really seem to kind of get hooked on it a bit.
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of time, obviously, with lockdown. And I think that some of the drivers have kids and things like that, so they have to spend a lot more time with them, but I couldn't stand to be bad at it. And clearly I was trying very hard, and I wasn't very good in the beginning, so I made it a conscious effort to make myself competitive, and I think that's a bit, you know, how most racing drivers are, you know. I think you saw some of them just weren't bothered because they just knew they were never going to be, they didn't have the time, so then they're going to pretend that they're not bothered.
Yeah.
Whereas I knew I had the time and I didn't have that excuse, so I couldn't say that.
There we go, insight into Roland's mind. Here we are with Martin Stefanko looking to the inside of Golombek down into turn 1, still decides against it. You can see Stefanko in the bottom left. You see he's painted his wall green behind him, which presumably is for when he's doing his streaming. He can put some
full Jaguars back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. British Racing green on the wall. Here he goes now past Golombek, much more usable energy, and cruises past coming into turn 2. Although no British Racing green on the Jaguar cars in Formula E. They're called phosphor blue and graphite grey, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Although I think they might have changed the grey, and I'm going to get a text any moment from the Jaguar PR. Just you wait. 6 minutes left on the clock. And Olli Pakala's in his attack mode. Golombek attacks his second attack mode then, uses the second attack mode to try and get back at Stefanko.
A bit disappointed, Golombek. I think when he watches this back, he could have been more aggressive. You know, he's clearly actually got a reasonable amount of energy left, but it's quite straightforward to defend down that back straight. I don't think they can drive the whole way around the outside of you, and at some point you have to keep them behind, because he's going to waste lap time now to try and get back past Stefanko. and we kind of saw the same thing with Siggy and Carroll. So I think, you know, in terms of pace, he's probably not the best, but I think he probably could have been slightly more aggressive in terms of how he defended whilst not in attack mode. Interestingly, Rasmussen 1 second behind Jovski as well at the front.
Yeah, that's getting very close. Berliak is trying to go around the outside there of Volley Pakula. He's in attack mode at the moment. They're fighting over 8th position, but here are the top two. Jovski now activates his second attack mode, but with Rasmussen not too far behind. Graham Carroll does so as well. Ron on the YouTube chat says, can the commentators read this? Alexander Wood replies, I believe not. We can. 4.5 minutes left on the clock, so good chat with you two there. Right.
2% at the front.
Yeah.
Oh no, well it was.
It's going to be tight, isn't it? Jovski in his attack mode. How close can Freddie Rasmussen stay?
He stayed close.
In the remaining 4.5 minutes though.
I'm guessing it's the same like reality where you have to have consumed the attack mode when you finish.
Yes.
Okay, so he's going to have to take it this lap.
And it's
maybe
not
one more.
It's not plus 1 lap as well. So
it's not.
No, it's
so
just 25 minutes.
This lap.
Yeah, I'd have thought so, because it's going to last for 2 minutes, isn't it?
He's going to have to. So if we see anything, it's going to be in the last lap.
So here they come into the hairpin right-hander, and there you're absolutely right. Freddie Rasmussen activates his attack mode. He's going to be having it, and you can see the halo light up as well on the right-hand side, just like in real life as we come down into the final couple of corners. So they're both on similar usable energy. Rasmussen will be in attack mode for slightly longer than Erhan Jovski. It's all going to come down to the final lap, as Oliver Rowland says. Siggy and Cowell are in their attack modes. They're fairly lonely in 3rd and 4th places at the moment. Stefanko stayed ahead of Golombek, and that's kind of what you were talking about earlier. When Stefanko got past and Golombek didn't fight it, he then couldn't get past when he was in attack mode.
Yeah, for me, if you do a good job at defending when you've been attacked by someone in attack mode, then on this track, if you do a good job, you shouldn't get past. So I think he's going to be a little bit disappointed without going on about it too much when he rewatches the race back.
So 3 minutes to go. Here is Golombek, who's in the middle of this fight with Stefanko. Now, Jovski out of attack mode. Rasmussen is 1.6 seconds back as they come across the line in a couple of moments. Now, they might get a couple more laps out of this, mightn't they? Because the lap times...
1 minute, roughly.
Yeah, so we'll see a few more laps in this one as they come out of the final corner across the line. 2.5 minutes left on the clock, and there's just a second between Jovski and Rasmussen. So this is starting to get tight in the closing stages. There is Freddie Rasmussen in the bottom left, Constructors champion 2 years in a row in F1 esports with Red Bull, and now driving for Dragon. He's right on the back of Jovski.
Yeah, and so this next lap is the most important. So 18 seconds. He's going to have to risk it in the hairpin if he wants to send it.
Here we go, 10 seconds left in attack mode for Freddie Rasmussen. This is the opportunity, bit of a slide for Jovski, looks to the inside, he's not close enough.
You've got to be rude if you go in there. Yeah. I did it to Daniel Apps.
Oh yeah.
And he wasn't my best friend.
No, there was an amazing onboard shot of that, wasn't there, with you just clattering into the side of him.
Yeah.
Here they come then, through the final couple of corners with 1 minute and 40 remaining on the clock.
Still close.
Yeah.
He needs to force it if he wants to pass. Has to force it.
Across the line to start the penultimate lap of the race, this.
Come on.
Down into turn 1. Through the right-hander. He's not going to be close enough this time to Erhan Jovski. Meanwhile, it's all kicking off in the middle of the pack. Here's Jarno Opmeer, the reigning F1 esports champion, struggling down in 12th position at the moment. He's in attack mode, trying to get past Kuba Brzezinski for 11th, but look how close the leaders are. Jovski and Rasmussen. There's the little look from Opmeer. He's going to get rude down at the hairpin, forcing his way past the Jaguar of Kuba Brzezinski. The two going side by side, and Opmeer gets the drive off the corner and has the lead, has the position, I should say.
Needs to go in here already. Bit too far back. Yeah, we need to see that from Rasmussen, I think, at the front. Like I said, you have to be quite rude with it if you want to pass on this track. So let's see if he learned anything on the last lap.
Rasmussen, after the first race, only has 2 points in the championship. Jovski at the moment has 31.
Yeah, so risk it.
So he's risk it, says Roland. Here they come down into the first. He's too far back, isn't he?
He's not. Yeah, probably.
I can imagine you having this conversation with yourself in the car, like,
Yeah.
am I too far back? No, I'm going, oh yeah, probably.
Well, it's risk and reward, you know. This guy's going to walk away with 50 points. He's going to be 30 points ahead of you, so I think I'd be at least showing my nose a bit more.
Here they come down into the right-hander of turn 2, really the last major overtaking point on the track. Really interesting though, isn't it, that we had such a, you know, Yayovsky looked like he had it in the bag, didn't he?
Yeah.
But Rasmussen has pulled it out of nowhere. Here they come into the hairpin again. Not enough.
It's a bit the thing with the Formula E racing on the streets, though. Once you get comfortable, you lose that level of focus. You know, and you might have thought with a 2-second gap, you know, I'm quite happy here. And then all of a sudden, when you get out the rhythm, it's very difficult to get back into it.
Here they come then, final couple of corners. Erhan Yayovsky looking to make it 2 out of 2. Freddie Rasmussen looking to get past him at the final turn. Through they come. Yayovsky out across the line. And it is 2 wins in a row for the North Macedonian. He really had to work hard for that one. Dominated in New York City. Looked like he was dominating here. But Freddie Rasmussen pushed him all the way. Kevin Siggy is 3rd across the line. Graham Carroll 4th. Stefanko 5th. And Golombek just holds on for 6th position. Here's Jarno Opmeer, who's trying to get past Nikodem Wisniewski for the final point on the final lap. Bono Huis is going side by side with him, and he didn't quite get him. So Wisniewski holds on to 10th position, Opmeer in 11th, Huis in 12th, the two separated by tenths of a second, but Erhan Yayovsky is the driver who takes the win once again. His 2nd win in a row, his 2nd win from pole position, so that takes him to 56 points at the top of the championship. Erhan Yayovsky, 2 runs done out of 5, 2 rounds done out of 5. It's going to take a lot to stop him now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You know, he showed that he can handle the pressure in a race situation. Let's see when you know, the championship's a different story, and especially with, you know, the prizes available. I think it's going to be a big one for these sim guys. So yeah, let's see. I was a little bit disappointed that Rasmussen didn't have a go. You know, in my experience, I'd have maybe showed my nose, maybe boshed him wide a bit, and if it had been too rude, let him back past. But,
Here's a look at the results then of round 2 of Formula E Accelerate. Erhan Yayovsky, the winner, just under a second ahead of Freddie Rasmussen. Kevin Siggy, 3rd for BMW I Andretti Motorsport, 2 thirds in a row for the Slovenian. Graham Carroll in 4th position, Martin Stefanko 5th, Golombek, Capit, Pakala, Berliak and Wisniewski completing the top 10. Mercedes, after scoring points with both cars in race 1, both miss out on points in race 2, although there were 2 tenths between Wisniewski, Opmeer and Huis. Kuba Brzezinski 13th on the grid at the end. Jan van der Heide slipped back to 14th position. He was hoping to climb up the order. Artur Leuk finishing 15th. He did a good job actually, because he started down in 23rd on the grid, I think. Manuel Biancalila struggling today compared to last week, and he's under investigation as well. Mark Gassner 17th, Jaroslav Honzik in 18th, Muller, Pev the top 20.